Hi everyone, today I want to talk about beam structure. The history of the beam structure is structural stability goes back to the 18th century, increased use of the metal, iron and steel construction in the 19th century. Elastic stability continued to the early 20th century with the work by Stephen and the others. Historically, beams were square timbered, but they are also metal, stone, or combination of the wood and metal, such as fleshed beam. Beam generally carried vertical gravitational forces, but they are also carried the horizontal load. The loads carried by the beam are transferred to the column, wall, or girders. And we can define a beam structure as a structural element that primarily resists the load applied laterally to the beam exists. It is made of deflection in the primary by bending. The load applied to the beam results in reaction forces at the beam supported point. The total effect of all forces acting on the beam to produce the shear forces and bending moment with the beam. The beam are characterized by the manner of support profile, shape of cross-section, length and material. Beam are an important class of structural elements and are normally horizontal. The primary function of the beam is to support the floor, roof, and wall. The total behavior of any building structure can be complicated by frequently two types of substructure can be divided as a vertical element associated with the wall and horizontal element associated with the floor and the roof. Vertical elements are column and wall, also left, and horizontal elements can be slab, terraces, space frame, and the most important is beam. The primary purpose of the beam is to transfer the load from the superimposed structure or into the column. The common type of beam support is roller support, fixed support, and Hing support. The roller support can be worked as a vertical, beam support working as a vertical and horizontal, fixed support working as a horizontal, vertical, and moment, simple support working as a vertical, and roller support is giving the beam the ability to resist vertical forces only. And the roller support example can be rubber bearing for flyover. Hing support is another type of beam support. It's also called as pinned support. Hing support is capable of resisting forces acting in any direction of the plan. It is provide resisting against horizontal and vertical force only. Fixed support is let the beam resist vertical, horizontal forces and as well as the moment. Here we have different classification typology of the beam structure. We have simple supported or simple beam, fixed beam, cantilever beam, overhanging beam, continuous beam, and restrained beam. Simple supported beam is the one of simplest structural elements that both ends rest on supported, but it is free to rotate. It is include the pin support at one end and the roller support at the other end. Based on the assigned load, it is sustained, shearing, and bending. And here we can see in this diagram. Fixed beam, it is supported at both ends and fixed to resist the rotation. It is called as a built-in beam. The fixed end produces the moment other than the reaction. Cantilever beam, if the beam is fixed at the one end and said to be free at the other end, so this is called cantilever beam. The beam distributes the holds back to the supporting where the forces against the moment and the shear stress. Cantilever beam allow the creation of a bay window, balcony, and some bridges. In bridges, building cantilever construction is employed for the large span in certain sets, especially for the heavy loading, and we can see in this diagram. And here is the example of cantilever beam. Continuous beam has more than two supporting distribute along its entire length. The two main factors of consideration in the design of continuous beam are the type of loads and the strain characteristic of the material used in the construct the beam. Overhanging beam stretched out past its support. It can have any number of support. In other words, it is a beam when cantilever portion is hanging out of a simple supported beam. In the case of overhanging beam, the bending moment is positive between the support where the bending moment is negative for the hanging portion. Overhanging beam generally used to make a shade or balcony. It can be from 40 to 120 centimeter in common residential building. Different type of beam based on the material. Reinforced concrete beam. It is constructed from the concrete and reinforcement. Sometimes reinforcement concrete beam is concealed in the reinforced concrete slab, and it is called hidden beam or concealed beam. Reinforced concrete beam are structural elements that designed to carry external load. The load cause bending moment, shear forces, and in some cases torsion across their length. Beam can be simple supporting continuous or cantilever. They can be designed as a rectangle, square, T shape, and L shape section. Reinforced concrete beam. Timber beam. The timber beam is generally used in the wooden roof truss construction. They are also used to support the floor slab in the old houses. Steel beam are used in a different type of construction like the building, workshop, steel roof trusses, the bridges. Different type of beam based on shape of cross section. Rectangular beam are the most common type of beam used in building construction, from small house construction to high-rise building construction. I-beam may be made of steel, concrete, or fiberglass. I-beam is generally used in construction of manufactured plants, multi-story building, etc. T-beam allowed us to select the large span compared to the rectangular span because the deflection of the beam is greatly reduced. C-beam is beam that has a channel section. L-beam, which is provide the corner or rounded the perimeter of the slab, is called L-beam. And here we have how the transformation loads of the beam structure is working in the slab. And here we have also on the slab. And here we have famous company. And that's all. Thank you for watching.